Hey everyone, it's Isaias from Tech Designs, and today I'm going to show you guys how to do window tint installation doing the two-stage method and the bottom load method at home. So let's get started. So before heat shrinking the film, you need to make sure you prep the outside of the window since the tint is being placed on the glass. So all you need to do is just grab your slip solution and spray it onto the window, and make sure you just wipe off any contaminants that the window may have. And one thing I do recommend is also cleaning the door panel, since we're going to use this area in order to help us hold the tint once we're doing the prepping on the inside as well. And then just make sure to do the same on the other side where you're doing the installation. So like I mentioned before, I'm going to show you guys how to go about doing the two-stage method or the bottom load method. So for this section of the vehicle, we're going to do the bottom load method. So with the bottom load method, it requires you to remove the door panel. That way you're just able to tuck in the film, slide it in, and do the installation. So before you remove the door panel, make sure to do your research and see how to go about removing the door panel for your specific vehicle. If it seems easy, then you could go ahead and do it. If not, then we will recommend doing the other method, which is the two-stage method. So when it comes to removing the door panel, make sure to lower the window. That way we don't damage or scratch the glass. Depending on the vehicle you have, you might have to remove some panels. That way you're able to remove the screws. So with this one, all you need to do is remove this one here, pull the cover, and then there's another cover for this one here. Just lift it carefully and you're able to see the screw. Once you remove the covers, just make sure to start removing the screws that are in the way. So remove this one and make sure to remove the other one. So once you remove the screws, now start removing the door panel. With this one specifically, start from this end and just pop the panel. Start from this side, work your way underneath until you reach to the other end, and then just lift the door panel. And then just lift up. So once you remove the door panel, make sure to not leave it hanging, because if you leave it hanging, you may damage the wires that are connected to the panel. So make sure to try to just attach the bottom half of the door to the panel. So align it there. So just push it in to connect the bottom section. That way the panel doesn't move and fall down and damage the wires. And now you're able to work around this area here. So now just lift the window. As you can see, everything's good. And now you're able to proceed and do the bottom load method for this one. So then keep in mind, for some vehicles, this one specifically, the rubber seal is attached to the door panel. So we're not going to remove it since we already have enough room to work with. But if your rubber seal is connected to this section of the panel, you would just go ahead and remove it and then just put it to the side. So just make sure to do your research and see how your door panel is removed. If you see that it's easy, you go ahead and do it. If it's not, then you would do the other stage method that I'll show you guys in a bit. So once you remove the door panel, now we can start with the heat shrinking process for the tint. So just make sure you spray water to the glass. You would go ahead and grab the tint. So to make sure what tint is corresponding to what window, you would make sure that the protective layer is facing towards you. So with this one, when you receive your tint, there's like a reflective side of the tint and the other side is not so reflective. So you could kind of tell the difference when you see the tint. And also when you have it in front of you, you're going to notice that it follows the shape of the window too as well. So this side here will go for this window, and then the other section would go for the other window. So always make sure that the reflective section of the film is facing towards you. So when it comes to aligning the film, you place it here, and you want to make sure you have enough room here on this side here. Give yourself enough room, that way the film doesn't overlap to the panel. And also give yourself like around about an inch or so space here. So you could bring the film down more lower. So you give yourself like this amount of room, like half an inch to an inch or so. And then the rest of the film is going to touch the panel here. That's perfectly fine. What matters is this middle section here. So once you place the film, just spray a little bit of slip solution onto the film. And what you're going to need to do is create an N shape on the tint. That way you're able to tack it down and then bring all the fingers of the film towards the middle. So create the N shape like this. Just be careful when you do this, take your time and go slow, because let's say if there's too many creases here and you go too fast, you might crease the film, and we want to avoid that. So just go slow if needed. And then once you do your N shape, start bringing everything down. So keep in mind, before you apply heat, turn on your heat gun. For window tinting, I would recommend turning it up to the highest setting. That way you're able to heat shrink the film. So leave it on for a couple seconds, that way the heat starts to warm up, and then go just side to side until the fingers pop out. So when you bring all the fingers down, you are going to notice you're going to have some fingers here. Some of the fingers are going to be straight. If you encounter those, you apply heat, and then once you apply heat, they turn into this squiggly design here. So once the fingers start to squiggle like this, then you're able to shrink the film like this one here. So if you notice, they kind of have a similar pattern. So when you apply enough heat like this, stop around there in the middle section, and just with your squeegee, bring the fingers down. That's all you're basically doing. So whenever you see another finger, so turn on the heat gun, just apply heat on the bottom section. So you notice that one was straight, it's not squiggly like this one here. So to make it squiggly, apply heat going side by side. So as you can see now, the tint, the pattern design has a squiggly design like this one here, and now you're able to bring the fingers down. So you just heat shrink the film until you remove all of the fingers that are located in this middle section here. You can do is lift the film from this end, bring the film down, tack this down, and now you're going to see more fingers. Just apply heat to make sure to shrink all those fingers, and once you're done shrinking, then we can move on to doing the prep on the inside. And also something to keep in mind, make sure you're not too close to the film because you may accidentally burn it. Try to keep a good distance and just apply heat side by side. And once you see that squiggly design on the fingers, then you just bring them down. Okay, so this one's good. No more fingers. You could leave the film here, and if you want, you could do the other installation on the other end. Basically same example. Start placing the film, shrink the film, and then remove all the fingers, and then you would come back and do the installation. So now just do the same on this end. Place the film, and remember the reflective layer has to be facing towards you. The other side has to be facing towards the window. So like I mentioned before, because this is being done at home, we are going to need to have this door panel clean, because we're going to bring the window down, and once the window is brought down, the film is going to come and touch the door panel. So another thing you can do is just remove the film, spray a little bit of water here, and then just place it and make sure you tack it down with your squeegee. That way the film doesn't fall off and gets damaged. So before you start prepping the glass, you need to make sure, if you have at home a big towel, to make sure to cover the door panel. That way you don't leave any watermarks on the door panel. So if you have a big towel, you could just grab it, put it around the door panel like this, and you should be good. And then just in case you don't have a towel to cover the door panel, you can also use a plastic cover. The only thing with the plastic cover, just apply tape on the edges or wherever you can on the door panel. That way the cover doesn't fall off. And in case you don't have the plastic cover, and let's say you don't have the towel either, you're just going to have to wipe as you go. That way you don't leave any water residue on the door panel. So an important thing to do before you start the installation is to prep the glass. That way we remove any contaminants that the glass may have. So for this vehicle, the owner asked us not to remove the window stickers for the video purpose. So I'm just going to show you guys that it's still possible to do the installation, but it's just gonna look different with the window stickers still installed. But it's always important to remove all the stickers. That way you can have a clean installation. So when you're going to do the prepping, just make sure to turn on just the power. That way you're able to roll down the window. So just make sure before you roll it down, keep in mind you still have the tint on the other side. So just lift it carefully, hold it, and then just roll down the window. You only need about 2 fingers of space. So this should be fine. You could leave the car on, just make sure not to leave it too long because the battery might die, or you could just power it down again. And now you have all this room in order to start prepping the film. So in order to prep the film, you're going to need to apply slip solution to the glass, and make sure you have a scrub. That way you're able to remove all the contaminants that the glass may have. So make sure you go all around the window. So if you're wondering where you could purchase these scrubs we purchase them from Amazon, and this is the size they usually come in. All you need to do is just cut it out to the shape that you need it. So once you finish scrubbing the window, the first thing you're going to do is make sure to clean off the top section. And the reason why we're cleaning it off is because normally the top section is dirty, as you can see here, and we want to remove as much contaminants as possible. So just make sure, do like 2 passes, just as long as there's no more dirt. And then to remove the dirty soapy water, you would just go ahead and grab your squeegee and just remove the dirty soapy water. And then make sure as you're removing the dirty soapy water, you clean it off and then continue on. And then for the bottom section here, sometimes you'll be able to reach it down, and if you can't reach it down, one thing you can do to remove the dirty soapy water from underneath is just grab your slip solution and just spray underneath. That way you're able to flush down the dirty water. So just flush everything down. And if you're wondering if this water will damage your electronics on the door panel, it will not, since everything's going on this section of the door panel. The water that we sprayed, the drain will just flush it out and you should be good. So you don't need to worry about all the electronics as long as you're spraying water on this section of the panel. Apply soapy water just one more time. Flush out the edges as well. So now it should be good, clean, no contaminants. And now to start the installation, apply soapy water one more time. Make sure you apply it on the edges as well. And then now we will come to the side where we have the tint. In order to peel off the protective layer, you're going to start from one edge, pick on the corner until you remove the protective layer. And as you're removing the protective layer, just carefully, slowly remove it down and spray soapy water. Remember, remove it slowly, because if you remove it too fast, you might accidentally pull the tint and it's going to fall down and it's going to get contaminants on the adhesive side of the film and it may get damaged. So just make sure to take your time doing it slowly. And for this method, since it is the bottom load method, you're going to grab the film, remove the entire protective layer, carefully lift it, and just hold it like this on your arms. You're going to bring it in, and since this one is the bottom load method, you're going to load the film on the bottom section first. Make sure the tint is going tucked in underneath. So bottom load it, bring it in, slide it down, and then just bring it up, tuck it in here. So make sure when you're aligning the tint, align it as close to the top as possible. So as you can see here, everything's good. Just make sure it's not too to the top, because if it is and your finger catches it, then the film is just going to peel off when it rolls back up to this section of the window. So around there should be good. Make sure everything stays aligned. It's perfect. This is good. And one thing you can do before you start squeegeeing, you can come to the other side and just double check if your glass is being covered by the tint. So there's no clear section showing here, so it's good. If you could tell, this whole section should be good too. It's as close to the top as possible. And in this area here, there's no clear section showing. What you can do to avoid preventing any creases, just try to bring down any big fingers or these bubbles too. So once you finish bottom loading the tint and everything's aligned, spray soapy water, grab your squeegee, make sure to use your thumb to hold it in place with one hand, that way the film doesn't move around, and with your other hand grab your squeegee and start tacking the film down slowly. So you can start from the center, bring it down, squeegee up, tack down the top, just like that. Make sure you're still holding it, and slowly tack down the other section, and then just do another pass. That way we're able to secure the film. Apply heat on the other section of the film, that way the adhesive on the tint is able to activate faster. You would just grab your heat gun, come to the other side, do the highest setting, and then just apply heat on the top section here. That way we cover the entire area of the tint here. And then you would just come back, spray soapy water. That way your squeegee is able to just glide down to the tint. Make sure you're still holding it just in case. Grab your squeegee and just slowly tack everything down. Just like that. Make sure you're removing all of the bubbles on the back. Hold it, tack it down. And you just squeegee until you can't reach the bottom section. But before you roll up the window, if you do have access to a tool that's thin like this one, like this triangle tool, just make sure to squeegee the side sections. Since the big squeegee cannot reach this area, it's better to use a triangle tool. And we do offer this tool in our window tint kit, so if you need it, we do have it available. So squeegee this one and squeegee this side too. So just do that. Make sure to remove all of the bubbles. Make sure to tack down the film, secure it, and now just roll up the window. And when you're rolling it up, make sure you're applying just a little bit of pressure going that way. That way when the film goes up, the tint doesn't catch to this section of the window here. So just apply a little bit of pressure. So turn on the car and slowly roll it up. Should be good. Power down the vehicle. So the last part is just tacking down the bottom section. So just apply soapy water, grab your squeegee, and just finish off the rest of the installation. And that is pretty much it for the bottom load method. Inspect and check if you have any bubbles left over. What you can do is just clean the window, check wherever you have bubbles. So here it's probably on the actual window. Yeah, so you should be good there. So bubbles like this one, you would just squeegee it on the other side. So I'll show you guys right here. So try to remove as much as you can. So now that bubble that was here, it's gone. This one's just gonna pop up because the sticker is lifting. But like I mentioned, if you don't have a sticker, you won't encounter this problem. And that's pretty much it. And now the installation is done. The window is good. Like I said, just make sure you inspect the other side, make sure that everything is good, there's no more bubbles showing. And what you can do to help the adhesive activate faster, like we did on the top section here, you can apply heat. So I'll show you guys here. Just grab your heat gun, heat it up for a couple seconds, and then just apply heat. Make sure to go all around the tint. That way you help the adhesive activate faster. And that's pretty much it. And then once you're done, you would just go ahead, come to this end, remove the towel if you do have one. Just clean off just a little bit of the water that was on the towel here. And then you'll go ahead and start removing the door panel again from the bottom. So it all depends on the type of vehicle you have. Always keep that in mind. And with this one, you need to lift it and tuck it in. Just like that. And then just bam. Everything's good. And then you would just go ahead and install the screws back in. So that's how you do the bottom load method. And now I'm going to show you guys how to do the two-stage method on the other window. So this one, we're not removing the door panel, but we are going to make sure to cover the door panel as well. So if you have a big towel, just make sure to tuck it in as much as you can. Just make sure it holds in place. Okay, just leave it like that. That should be fine. Just make sure you're covering the door panel. And now, same step, we're going to turn on the car, bring the window down. But with this one, I'm gonna show you guys this other way of bringing down the window without having to remove the film. So just power on the vehicle. And what you're going to do is lift the film like this. And as you're holding it, bring the window down. Okay, so once you roll down the window, just do the same steps as how we did it on the other end. Spray the window, grab your scrub pad, scrub off any contaminants. And with this one, you could just pull the rubber gasket just a little bit in order to try to remove the contaminants underneath here. Grab our towel, lift the tint just a little bit, clean the top first. And now remove the dirty water. Make sure you get the edges. Spray it again. And just remove the dirty water just in case there's still some. So once you finish cleaning the window, spray soapy water once again. And when you're doing the two-stage method, you're going to need to leave the window still open like this, because with the two-stage method, you're required to install the window on the top section first and then finish the bottom after. So spray this section, and now you would come to this side, and here same thing, wet your finger, pick off the protective layer. And with this one, we're only removing the tint only up to about halfway around the tint here. So we're not removing the entire protective layer. So spray as you go, and make sure it stays tacked down as well to the window. So roughly around there should be good. Make sure the protective layer stays on the tint. Spray it with soapy water. Make sure this side has soapy water too, that way you're able to move the film around. And now with this one, is lift this section here, tuck in your hand, and sort of just bring it in like this. And just hold it like this. And when you're doing the install, same process. Start from this end first. So bring the film in, and then bring this side in. And you just align it. Make sure it's as close to the top as possible. This side here, we're just going to fold it just a little bit. That way we don't crease it. So just leave it like that, fold it. Now, same step as we did with the other one. Apply soapy water on top. Hold it in position with one finger. And then with the other hand, grab your squeegee and just start tacking down the top surface. Bring all of the solution down up to where the middle section is. You don't have to go too deep yet. Just take your time, slow and steady. And with this one, do the same thing. Apply heat on the back. That way the adhesive is able to activate faster. But with this one, before we roll up the window, make sure you use the triangle tool. Tuck in here and do the same on the other side. So now grab your heat gun and apply heat to help the adhesive activate faster. Power on the car again, that way we're able to roll up the window. So when you're doing this part, make sure you do the same thing. Press it, that way we're able to roll up the window. And just carefully roll it up. And you should be good. Since this is the two-stage method, with this one here, what you're going to need to do, if you're doing this method, is apply soapy water underneath the film. So spray it onto the glass first. And you want a good amount of soapy water, that way you're able to move the film around on this section here, fold it and tuck it in underneath. Once we apply it, use your hand to hold this section in place. That way the film, when you remove the protective layer, the film doesn't lift on this side where we already tacked it down. So hold it, remove the protective layer, and just go all across with your hand slowly. Take your time. And now with this one, make sure your hands are wet. Lift the film, and now you could apply soapy water to the adhesive side of the film. So when it comes to tucking in the film, start from the middle section using your thumbs and sort of bring the film and bring it in like this, like if you're going to make a curved design with your finger. So just bring it in like this and just do that for the entire side here. So bring it in like this, make sure this side's good. And with this one, you're going to need to use this tool here in order to help tuck in the film, and your triangle tool in order to squeegee it down there. So just bring it in, tuck in the film underneath here, and make sure when you're doing this, try to do it as quick as possible, because the soap may dry out depending on the weather condition outside. So now you see this side here, it's tucked in. Do this end, tuck it in. And now just push the rubber gasket towards you. That way you're able to tuck in the film slowly and carefully underneath. You're going to then spray soapy water, grab your squeegee, and just finish off the bottom half. And just take your time. In case there is a big bubble like around here, take your time and tack down everything. And this is where the final step, you use your triangle tool to tuck in and tack down the film here on the edges. Same on this side. And then make sure you use your tool to tuck in the bottom section here. And that's pretty much it for the two-stage method. And then once you're done, you would go to the other side, inspect the tint, make sure there's no fingers or any bubbles left over. So the edges are good. There's no fingers popping up, so the film will shrink properly. The last step is just clean off, remove your towel if you do have one. Clean off the door panel. Clean the window. Make sure just double check, inspect. This one's here. And that's it. The window tint looks good. Like I said, no fingers are showing. All the edges are tacked down. And that's pretty much it. And then you apply heat to help the adhesive activate faster. And this is how you do the two-stage method. As you can see, when you properly heat shrink the film, you shouldn't have any fingers popping up after the installation. So make sure to always apply heat once you're done. That way you help the adhesive activate on all of the windows that you installed it. And then once you finish with the install, just grab a clean towel, clean off the window. And if you do happen to have a glass cleaner like this one that doesn't have any ammonia, you could use it. That way you don't affect the tint. Just spray it and clean the window. And you can also spray it on the other end as well, just a little bit. You don't have to spray too much. Just make sure you clean it. Make sure the window's clean. And this is how the install should look once you're done installing window tint to your car. So if you guys do have any questions in regards to the installation, feel free to comment below, or you could email us directly at our customer service email. Hope this video helped you guys out with installing the two-stage method and the bottom load method. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.